Men should not be afraid of tears, because tears bore witness that you have the courage to suffer. So yeah, I've always had this idea of being a messenger for something important. And I think, or I know now, that this is kind of the dream that I had when I was younger. It's just ironic that it's happening through running and something that I used to make fun of.
Welcome to Power Perspectives, People, Passion, Purpose. I am so grateful and privileged to be joined by a man, beast, warrior, quickly becoming an icon in multiple arenas. Having recently ran 500 miles, that's 804 kilometers, using classic psychedelics, LSD, and psilocybin. What? He's not just an endurance athlete, he's a mentor, a mixed martial artist coach, psychosomatic coach, spinal hygienist, gym owner, entrepreneur, and as we'll learn, so much more. His name literally means the one with endurance, the liberator. And through his mission-driven work, his powerful drive to be of service, and his ability to persevere, showing the world what we're capable of, I'm very delighted to be speaking with the one and only Dante Liberato. Welcome to Power Perspectives, Dante.
Thank you so much for having me and for the awesome intro. Really appreciate that.
Good. Oh, dude, I told you I'm geeking out here. I'm like, I get to talk to this guy, like what you've accomplished in your life. And I don't just mean this 500-mile run. In researching you and your story for this interview, and just to get to know another human of this caliber, everything was kind of like, wow. And in the trailer, one of the guys that is at the start of that says, this guy can suffer like no one else I've been experienced. And I just got goosebumps about that. Before we get into some questions people would love to have about someone doing the things that you're doing, can you share a little bit about who is Dante Liberato, and you being a coach and a master in all of these different areas? You obviously started in the darkness before you could be the light to others. So can you share a little bit about your story? Where are you from? What you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I have just the classical military brat story here in the US in the first kind of half of my life. We moved around a whole bunch. We were always in a different place every couple years. And then eventually came to Colorado Springs. And my dad got stationed in a few different spots. We had a really hard time selling our house, so we couldn't actually follow him for those last couple of years of him being in the Air Force. So Colorado became home. The mountains became home. And I started kind of getting into a community here in the Springs, started mixed martial arts at a pretty young age. And I feel like that's kind of where my story started to change, is once I started martial arts. Had this idea that I was going to be the youngest UFC champion to ever live, and got that idea when I was pretty young, like probably 8 or 9 years old. And I had already started doing traditional martial arts like Taekwondo for a few years. So after that, it was boxing, wrestling, Muay Thai, competed in all of those sports all throughout high school. Yeah, and just became obsessed with martial arts and this idea of trying to become the most dangerous person that I could. And really had an idea that there wasn't other sports that compared, and that I was pretty selfish. I was pretty stubborn, pretty self-centered around that goal, and just trying to accomplish everything I could around martial arts.
Can I ask you, why was being the most dangerous person a valuable tool to have for you at that time? Were there threats around you?
No, not inherently. I think the strategies that I developed pretty early on to just receive the love and recognition that I was looking for as a young kid, I think were revolved around performance and doing well in sports, and just being successful and expressive, whether it was like through my confidence or through my performance. So yeah, I think that's for that.
And thank you for that. Like, mixed martial arts, do you have a favorite BJJ or like?
Yeah, I grew up competing in wrestling and jiu-jitsu the most. I was on the national wrestling team here in Colorado for a little while, and kind of traveled all around the country competing and grappling. But in my, I was going to say older age, I'm still pretty young. Coming out of martial arts, I think I have a lot more fun striking now. I think that Muay Thai and kickboxing are just ways to be a little bit more creative than grappling. But yeah, I love it all. But when it comes to actually competing, I liked to be on the ground. I didn't like getting hit too much.
Then when did you get into running? Because that's quite a different athleticism and quite a different endurance that you need. When did running become like a passion for you?
When I thought that martial arts was like, if you're going to be the best at a sport, why would you try any other sport other than martial arts? Because this is like the ultimate form of competing. And I couldn't wrap my head around people who just chose to run as a sport, because it was like a part of so many other sports. And I remember being really against the idea of like being a runner for a long time. And then coming right out of high school, I got into a relationship with somebody that she'd been my friend for a long time. We worked at a gym together, and just kind of stepped into like a stepdad role at a pretty young age. And during that time, COVID hit, and we were spending a lot of time locked up in the house together. And I started to realize that it was a pretty unhealthy dynamic and relationship. And really at the time, there was no going to the gym. The only place that we could kind of have space from each other was going to the grocery store or something like that.
Yeah.
So I decided kind of subconsciously, I was just like, I'm going to start running, and I'm going to run further than I've ever run before, so that I can just be out of the house and away from this situation. So quite honestly, that's how I got into running. I would run not in really a healthy way. I would run pretty far away from my house to a liquor store that I knew of. And then I would get a little buzz and walk back home and just really take my time. And then I spent a lot of time doing that before getting out of that relationship, and came out of that relationship with just kind of this like organic skill and desire and kind of base in running that I didn't even know I was building, because I was just trying to get away from this person. Yeah, that's how I got into running.
I like that organic kind of, that's real. And I mean, I'm into obviously sacred earth medicine, so I'm excited to get into psychedelics with you, but I still really like, there's hobby running, right? And then there's like endurance running, but this is much more than that. 500 miles. And honestly, I don't know, I think maybe just the States and a couple other countries use miles, but to really like 800 kilometers, that's crazy. So what took you from, I'm just going to run to get away from my partner for a little bit, to like this insane amount that puts you in like the 99th percentile of people's mental, physical, emotional, probably spiritual, like capacities? What took you that extra step?
Yeah. It's kind of cool. I've never actually really like broken it down all the way like this, but after I got out of that relationship, I wasn't competing in martial arts during that time, because I was just kind of, like I said, being a stepdad and focused on that, and couldn't really be at the gym at that time either. So once that relationship ended, I tried really hard to make one more push as a professional cage fighter, and take some fights and start competing and make a run at it. And I had signed a contract for my first professional fight, and I got a call from a buddy who was doing this professional grappling show. So it was just jujitsu. And he just needed some help filling the card, because there was people pulling out, and he was trying to build the matches up. So I told him that I would do it. It was like 2 or 3 weeks before my pro debut. And I just thought that I was going to go out there and kind of like stomp this guy and just feel confident getting ready for my first pro fight. And like, I think 40 seconds into it, I ruptured my quad and hurt my leg. Tore a bunch of other stuff, and in a knee that I had already damaged pretty bad in the past. And I had started at that time also transitioned from sports psychology to like an earth-based therapy, and started getting introduced to psychedelics slowly at that time. And I had already kind of subconsciously made the decision, like, if I have another injury another major injury, I'm going to have to step away, because I had spent so much of the last part of my career in fighting, just nursing injuries and then doing one competition, getting hurt again. So I'd kind of subconsciously made that choice, and was really just like filled with grief after that, because I knew that was going to be it for me. And I had a lot of support from that therapist at the time, and my partner Ren, to process that grief and at least let go of that idea of being a professional fighter. They actually did support me in having a grief ceremony specifically around that, and letting that idea go, and that dream go.
I read that, actually. Sorry to interrupt you. I read that you had that grief ceremony, and letting go of the idea of being a professional athlete was one of the hardest things you ever had to do. Now, having done a lot of things that to me or other people are like, that was pretty freaking hard too, is that still one of the hardest things you've had to have done, or have you evolved your levels of what's hard?
Yeah, I think emotionally that was probably like it felt equivalent to like a first heartbreak, because I had been attached to that dream so strongly for so long. Yeah, it felt like a first heartbreak when I let that go. And I don't think I've encountered anything as difficult since then. I think with running, like being a martial artist, and then getting into running, and like I'm not a very fast runner. Like I'm not winning races necessarily. So the competition side for me isn't as intense, because I know that I'm probably never going to be as fast as a lot of these other guys. So I'm just trying to get to the end. I'm trying to get to the finish line. That's my goal. And nobody's trying to prevent that from happening. Like in martial arts, somebody's trying to prevent you from accomplishing the goal physically. And I think being able to return to that place mentally, just knowing like, nobody's on the trail trying to stop me from just taking another step forward. So that makes that a little easier, but kind of puts it in perspective.
Awesome. And I read something about your gym, that it was like, it's not just a gym for, come in and lift some weights. Like you're helping people push themselves to their boundaries and really see what transformation looks like. Not just, hey, get fit, but see what's on the other side of your pain. And that kind of seems to be obvious in all of the identities that you wear, all of the things that you're doing. You want to see what's on the other side. And I really thought it just kind of came in like, that's an archetype of like a warrior that comes to help other people become warriors. And you found yourself in mentor positions and in coaching positions. Did that naturally come for you? People just kept asking you questions till you were like, hey, I got to actually make this a part of my career? Or how did you get into the mentoring side of things?
I didn't want to be a gym that just had like upper body on Monday and lower body on Tuesday. I wanted to have movement classes and get people dancing and have drum circles. And if I was going to train athletes, I wanted to offer resources that I felt like I didn't have that would have been beneficial for me when I was competing a lot. So yeah, I just kind of committed to first focusing on like an Ayurvedic fitness model, which then felt a little, it just felt complex. And like, I just wanted to meet people where they were at. And that was when the idea of the den became a thing. And my partner joined me a few years ago as well.
You're doing some intense work with people. Can you talk me through how you integrated somatic work with a holistic approach to helping your clients, your community? It's so important.
Yeah. I feel like it's something that we're still maybe figuring out a process, or just learning that there isn't going to be like a refined process of it. I think just making sure that it's a place where people know that they can kind of bring whatever they've got that day. And it doesn't need to just be, you don't need to just show up to class when you feel like you're really on top of it and have the energy, or if you feel like there's something on your mind that you want to share and express. I think most importantly, just having a space where coaches know that people are going to bring maybe a little bit more to the table than just the desire to work out. but also weaving in things like breath work and other workshops and classes that focus around psychoeducation and helping people be a little bit more devoted to their goals and their practices instead of just trying to show up and kind of like take something from the class or the skills that they're trying to build or the goal that they have. I think we really just want to help people, build that devotion to a sustainable, healthy life.
Awesome. Like really more holistic than just come and eat a bag for a while. Cool. I'd love to chat about your run a little bit, if that's cool. I know we're awaiting the documentary, and it's super exciting. There's a lot of people that are just hanging on, and can't wait to watch this. And you probably will have some of the same questions asked to you again and again, but something people want to know is like, why did you run 500 miles? And then also, why did you run 500 miles on psychedelics?
Well, originally, I think, and this is something that I think people will realize once the documentary comes out, it was really the number 500 was I think the idea that kind of sensationalized the project a little bit. I got the idea when I was finishing my first 100-mile race, just feeling really good, feeling really solid, that I wanted to continue doing what I was doing for like a week or just days on end. I had this desire to like keep running after the race was over, but I knew my crew was so ready to be done and get home. I told them I wanted to like run past the finish line and go to the hotel or something. I wasn't sure how they'd react or what the response I would get. And it just sounded ridiculous at the time. So I wanted to enjoy what we were doing in that moment. But I decided before I crossed that finish line that I just wanted to run to Moab. I've lived in Colorado Springs since I was like 9 years old, and my mom got me into hiking when I was pretty young. And I just always had this idea that backpacking to Moab or hiking to Moab would be really cool, to like move through all the mountains in Colorado and then walk through the desert for however long it would be. So at the time, I didn't know how far it was. I didn't know if it was 700 miles or 300 miles. I was just like, I want to run to Moab. And then as we talked about it and we started planning the route a little bit, we realized that it was like 420 miles. And then as we added more time on trail and less time on road, it got closer to like 460 or 480. And then at that point, it was just like, why don't we just try and figure out how to make it 500? And yeah, that's what made it, I think, easier to market for sure. And yeah, more than anything, it was just the destination for me.
How do you not have so many sponsors? If you're listening to this, sponsor this man and this project. I'd love to know, like, so many questions, but my former flatmate, he would run 100 kilometers, which is not near that, but still mind-blowing to many people. But he had like bleeding nipples and fallen off toenails and icing all his body parts, and I'd have to have a pizza ready. Like, what was kind of the worst thing? I mean, if you don't want to say worst, like the most challenging thing, and how did you deal with these things? Because it's an ongoing repair process every day. How did that work for you?
I think physically, I had a little kind of nagging injury after. They were like right in the middle of it. There was like 200 miles of just highway running, where you're just on the side of the road, and whether it was like the camber of the road or just changing surfaces, I started just getting shin splints, which is something that I had never really dealt with before. Yeah. And honestly, it wasn't, there was moments where I think I got really overwhelmed, and just like with the idea or what I was doing, the fact that I was in the middle of it and still had this much time to go. Yeah, there was moments where it got overwhelming, and I think that made the pain get a little bit more intense. But for the most part, having the support that I did, the crew that I did, the food, like we had a private chef following us the entire time, and was making amazing meals for myself and the crew. So I was really surprised with um, how I don't want to say easy, but like more simple physically than I thought it would be.
That's cool. And I mean, when you sign up to do that and you start talking about it and then having to put your money where your mouth is, like, were there moments where you were like, shit, I have to do this now? And were you ever like, shit, I don't know if I want to anymore or if I can? Did those doubts ever cross your mind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It came and went. I think right when I came up with the idea and I knew it's like a year away. Um, as an athlete, like I was used to that as a fighter when you announce a fight and people kind of just get excited for you and there's this period of just knowing that you're in the preparation phase and that you're going to do this thing. So that was fun. And then there'd be moments where, I would start thinking about like what's it actually going to be like to be running that long every day for however many days it was going to take. And it would get really overwhelming. But more than anything, I think it was a pretty consistent level of confidence that I felt going into it. And if anything, I think there might have been moments where I was just like the desire might have been less strong as I got closer to it.
Do you? Yeah, I bet. Do you think that if you hadn't told anyone, but it was just in your, like maybe you just told Lauren, is your partner?
Mm-hmm. Lauren,
maybe, yeah. Maybe you just told your partner and like, listen, I'm going to do this. And you didn't tell anyone else and it was just you in the road. Do you think you still would have done it?
Yeah. I think I had to experience it to realize that that's probably the way that I wish I would have done it.
Interesting. And did you find moments of, I mean, that's a long time. And I know we're not talking about too much details until the documentary comes out, but can you share how long it took you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. And the timeline, I know will be something that like we can just like, I guess, save it to share this part. But
I can edit this for sure.
It took nine days and like 12 and a half hours, I think.
That's crazy. No, that's crazy. Have you ever thought about doing like I don't remember what they're called, but they're crazy triathlons, I think, in the desert, and they go through swimming and desert runs, and it's people drop off, and it's really quite dangerous with the heat. Have you ever considered doing one of those, like ultra marathons?
Yeah, I think like the multi-day thing really appeals to me. I think it would be a challenge to do something like that, like so in such an isolated environment or on my own. I found myself like really wanting to hang out with, I mean, I had like 10 of my favorite people in the world with me that whole week. And I just wanted to be at the campsite with them the whole time. Like I was just kind of craving hanging out with everybody. So I think that would be a challenge for sure. But if I were to ever compete in the endurance space, it would have to be in something multi-day, because that's, I feel like, just who can suffer more, not really who's the fastest person.
Okay, and that in itself can be a really attractive kind of, like, what does suffering mean to you?
I just got to spend a weekend with Eric Haas. I know you've chatted with him before.
Yeah, you two are very similar in your drive. It's the coding and energy you both kind of had in the short time I met you.
Yeah, he really resonated with me, and I think he just brought a lot of clarity to why I like this process of hormesis that he calls it, like putting our body through a specific form of stress to elicit some kind of adaptation.
Do you think that is innate to everyone and it just needs to be cultivated? Or do you think that there's a certain kind of human that's their unique coding? Like, suffering makes me grow, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to evolve, optimize exponentially.
Yeah. I think we all have it in us. I think some people have just been raised in an environment to think that it's not for them.
Yeah, cool. I love that. And if it's cool to transition to psychedelics on this run, I'm loving how more and more people are waking up to our ancestors, to what has been around forever, who we've come from. When you were using psychedelics on your run, did you feel it? I have so many questions, but did you feel your pain minimize, or did you feel it neutralize, or how did that help you elongate your endurance, or did it?
I think more than anything, the psychedelics helped me prepare for the process. Right. I ended up feeling like there was so much medicine in the community that was traveling with me along the route. I think that's where I think a lot of the pain, like whether it was emotional or spiritual or physical, I think was kind of supported and moved through. The psychedelics became, just felt like more of a teacher in the moment. Like it just offered a little bit more clarity and like what I needed to focus on and what I actually needed. And I think that's something that I think people will be surprised to see as the film comes out. But yeah, it was more about realizing that I didn't actually need them to do that run.
That's powerful. It's really powerful. I think sometimes what teachers show us is that you're your own teacher, but you kind of, that little catalyst of them being present helped you find that yourself, like the alchemist or something. Just so fucking curious. Like, did you feel more aligned with LSD, or did you feel more aligned with psilocybin? And was there certain days one spoke to you more?
Yeah, with the psilocybin, I microdosed pretty consistently at the beginning with psilocybin because I wanted to, I just wanted to ease into it. And I knew that if I really needed something, I wanted my receptors and everything to feel a little bit more fresh towards the end. Yeah. Then I also realized that I was going to need that tolerance to kind of last, or the lower tolerance and the receptors to last a little longer than I anticipated, because it was taking a little longer. I thought I would finish it a few days earlier. So I microdosed at the beginning, and then there was one day where I used some LSD kind of right in the middle, and it was emotionally the hardest day for me. I just kind of felt like shit. And there was also an area where there was a few, it was like more than a neighborhood, like communities or counties that we moved through, where I just felt like, maybe the project and like what we were doing or the energy the group was carrying, like I just didn't feel welcome. And I think I ended up taking psychedelics on both of those days, and like the weather was gloomy. And I just started realizing like, oh, I wish I had not actually done this, because it's making me feel really stuck. And I'm actually noticing like how taxed my body is. So towards the middle, once I did a dose of LSD, probably on the fourth day, and just felt like the medicine was telling me that the medicine was in the community and in the people. And then from that point, really until the last day, didn't really use any, actually.
That's amazing. And I mean, I understand that in the long distance running community, a lot of people are taking psychedelics and microdoses to help with endurance and help with pain. But it's kind of reassuring to know, like, you don't need another crutch. It's still you. You're still the alchemist. You're still the creator. You're still doing the work. Awesome. Can I ask you about your pain? Like, did you have any interesting conversations with your pain? Like, how do you persevere when like 99% of people would be like, hey, fuck this, I'm done. Like my toenails are through my shoulder, like I'm done. But that suffering psychology, what do you, like as a coach, tell your clients or tell your community, and what do you tell yourself?
Yeah. The idea that I like to share with a lot of the athletes that I work with is that it's the process of training. If you're getting ready for something that's a little extraordinary, like that should be the opportunity to suffer and to feel really uncomfortable. So that on game day or fight day or race day, whatever it is, the stress of that just feels minute compared to like what you've actually already put yourself through. So I think the confidence really comes from the preparation. I really enjoy that quote, and that's I knew that I had struggled physically so much more when I was actually on my own and didn't have a crew of 10 people giving me everything that I needed throughout that process. Like I feel like the level of suffering just felt like it wasn't as present during the run as it was during training. And I think that's a decision you have to make pretty early on. And then that makes the process of pushing yourself and getting to that spot that feels scary to go to, whether it's on a run or sparring on the weekends with your friends or at the gym, whatever it is. I think it makes going to that place a little easier when you know that it's going to make your goal a lot more achievable or that experience more fun.
I love that. There's a quote that just always comes to mind, and I do nothing like you do, but it's like, sweat more in training so you bleed less in battle. And it just always that if you know what you're up against, do something way scarier so that the scary thing doesn't seem scary at all. You're prepared. You're not thrown off guard. Very cool. In your psychedelic experience, do you run, maybe you should ask that. Do you run ceremonies that you can speak of? I mean, Colorado is open and.
Yeah. I support with a lot. I think when I first got into the medicine space and started going through some training for psychotherapy, I was really excited. I was really excited to share it. But through the last few years, I've realized that I don't host. I'm not the kind of guy that will have people flying in from out of state that I've never met to do big ceremonies. I support people that I have a really close relationship with, or that I work with in other ways. If they decide that medicine is something that they want to lean into or explore, then I support with that. And there's a few men's containers and co-ed containers that some friends offer at a retreat center that I work at, and I'll go in and be a co-facilitator for some of those events.
Be a familiar face and supportive. Yeah. Can I ask what your kind of initiation was with psychedelics, or how your journey started and down that track?
Yeah. I the first journey that I ever did, I was probably 14 years old and just thought I was having a heart attack the entire time, and begging my friends to go to the hospital because I was shaking. That's been something that I didn't realize was something that humans are probably meant to do and need to do more often. So the first couple times I had an anxiety attack or panic attack, and I would shake a lot, I thought that there was something really wrong with me. And then that came in on my first journey, and I was just terrified and kind of stayed away from them for a few years.
Was that with psilocybin? Sorry to interrupt you. Was that psilocybin?
Yeah, psilocybin. Yeah, I was. I didn't think they were working, so I smoked a bunch of weed and laid down. And then the bed that I was on, I've never had visuals like that either. The bed that I was on turned into this raft, and the carpet turned into the ocean. My dog got off the couch, and he looked like a snake kind of slithering away. And I stood up and just lost my shit for 3 hours. And it was really scary. So I stayed away from it for a while until I got out of the sports psychology container that I was in for a long time. For the time I was 12 years old up until I was 17 or 18, I had seen a sports psychologist. And I just felt like I needed to work on something different and not be just getting supported in becoming a better athlete and performer. So I found an earth-based therapist, and probably 6 months into working together, she told me that she had some training in the psychedelic space. It was I think it would be something that would benefit you a lot. So we started with MDMA first, and then I did 2 MDMA journeys and then 2 psilocybin journeys with her.
Okay, awesome. And I mean, it's getting more of the attention. I love that some of the states now are really actually embracing this, and more are coming, hopefully. And Colorado is pioneering. It's amazing. How would you relate kind of your skills and also the medicine to help people that are like veterans suffering with PTSD, or a lot of men that just haven't been given an open space to relax, to be told it's okay to cry, it's okay to all these things that you got told, men don't do this, men shouldn't do this, and that's breaking all of us. And then women can't be there for their men, and men can't be there for their women. All humanity heals when we go through these rites of passage, whether it's not using psychedelics or just through relating to other people and coaches like yourself. What advice would you give for people that see you, and achieved all these things, but have obviously experienced some intense suffering to get there?
Yeah. I think you said it. I think our society is kind of starved of rites of passage, and especially here in the United States, there's not a lot of ways for men or women to kind of be initiated in the ways that our ancestors probably were. So there's that's the work that I try to do, and that's what I encourage men to do, is find containers that'll be consistent, so that they have community, so that they have brotherhood and people that they can rely on and talk to consistently. But also find containers that are going to bring you out of your comfort zone, and make you ask yourself the questions that we didn't get asked growing up, or that our surface level friendships and relationships might not be bringing up for us.
That's right. And I like some of the stuff you put up on Instagram. Like, it's great. You're not trying to be an influencer. You're just like, this is how I feel about this. If you don't like it, like, this is not my problem. I'm here to inspire people by just being exactly you. And that's refreshing and authentic. And people resonated with it in a way that isn't just like, oh yeah, I like this. It's like, oh shit, we need this again. We need these leaders that are leading from the front, showing us what to do instead of telling us what to do, and then hoping that their shiny image gets some likes or something. I'd love to know, like, what do you want to have achieved with your, like, reverse engineering? The documentary is out. Joe Rogan freaking promotes you. There's people are getting the idea about this. Reverse engineering, what's the goal, the vision? Like, what would have happened for you to really give yourself, Fernando, the whole team, like, we fucking did it, guys. Like, we got it done.
I mean, personally, I think that vision is probably something that's going to continue to evolve. I think from the beginning, I know Fernando and I both had the intention, like, he just wants to help people, and that's what I desire as well. Like, I'm in the service industry and the wellness industry, and I want to serve people and do it well. And if we could just help or convince one person to maybe just change their perspective about psychedelics, or the communities that use them, the people that use them, or even just like a different way of thinking about brotherhood and friendship and community. There's a lot of layers to the documentary and the story that I think, there's something that'll probably surprise everyone and resonate. Hopefully there's a part that'll resonate with everyone. And that's the goal, was really to just help one person. But I mean, even throughout the process of the run, I had 3 of my best friends, and my partner included, run their first ultra marathons, just being out there supporting me and deciding that they could, like, keep running for a day and keep pacing me. I realized that was my favorite part, that 3 people got to run further than they've ever run before, and do something that maybe that at the beginning of that week they weren't sure was possible for them. If the documentary does that for a handful more people, I'd be excited. But I'm also realizing that it's getting a much bigger scope, and I want to be humble in that scope too. So I think about this. I can't remember what poem it was that I read that kind of reminded me of this, but I feel like there's a bridge that's being built between our current society and, like, the society that is going to be more mindful and conscious and emotionally aware. And for a long time, I wanted to like be that bridge and like be this messenger that was going to get people to wake up and like take that walk across the bridge and move to the other side. But I think the documentary might just be like a brick in that bridge. And I hope other people all around the world, like the work that you're doing, you know, is I consider that a brick in that bridge as well. And I think if we can all continue to just do our piece, eventually the bridge will be done.
That's awesome. Well said. I really, when you were saying that, I had a quote in my head that I read today, and now I know why I read it. It was like a picture of a candle lighting more candles. And it was like, it takes nothing away from your flame to light other people up. And that's what you're doing, you know, and before you know it, the whole darkness is bright again. I really love that. And you 100% are doing that. And, you know, you do speak quite humbly about yourself. Like, I got to do this and I got to do this. But other people that are talking about you are like, you know, where would I be without this guy? Is my brother, it's my family. This is if he didn't share this with me, I wouldn't be who I am today. You know, and that's a powerful power and responsibility, but esteem. And because you don't take it like some big compliment, it just keeps adding to your quality, your character. You know, it's a really beautiful thing. And when you say like you used to be this ego driven, I want the fame and you had to be that way to be this way, right? Or you might never have been able to see the different perspective. And this show is Power Perspectives. I want to ask you, like, what is your perspective on who you were, who you are now, and who you want to be?
That's my partner asked me a similar question yesterday. Also, just like what I thought little Dante would think about what's going on now, and my answer to her about the younger version of myself would probably wonder what, like, is the success or the energy or the attention that I'm getting now because of my success in fighting. And if it wasn't, the younger version of me probably would be like surprised and heartbroken that I like decided to pursue something else and didn't see that through. But I also, through that whole journey of being a martial artist, I really just felt like I wanted to be a messenger. And that's why, like, I would always donate all the money that I made through fightings. I lived at home and I had everything I needed. And I just wanted to, my ultimate goal was like, if I can get on that stage and get handed the microphone, maybe I can convince people, like just 10 people in the crowd, to take care of the environment a little bit more, take care of themselves a little bit more. So yeah, I've always had this idea of being a messenger for something important. And I think, or I know now, that this is kind of the dream that I had when I was younger. It's just ironic that it's happening through running and something that I used to make fun of. And yeah, in a perfect world, you know, I would love for all the right people to show up to my gym so that I can continue to make a living through that, and just continue to build a community, like through the Couch Milk app and that community, and helping people raise awareness and bringing people together in the right way. Like if I can bring more people together through projects like what we did with the Run to Moab, that would be pretty cool too. But yeah, ultimately, I just want to end up somewhere like on a quiet piece of land and be able to do what I want to do with my time and my days. And I'm pretty much doing that. I'm just maybe don't have as much financial freedom as I would like.
Yes. Definitely you're a messenger. And I think, are you comfortable with the microphone in your hand on a stage?
I think so. I mean, I've been, I think the only time that's happened has been like after fights and your adrenaline's coming off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't quite done the crowd thing yet, but I've led workshops and done more intimate speaking containers. Yeah.
You already have it. I think that's something that is very high on my vision board and all my lists, but every time before it's about to happen, I vomit, or like I'm just, you got to do it. Vomit your way through it. Just do it. But you definitely have that presence. And when people are around someone that they know can achieve goals that they can barely fathom, it elevates you to like, you have a crowd listening to you no matter what, because you're like, well, that guy's human. I'm a human. I have that at least in common with this person. Maybe I can do more than I think I can. Maybe I can achieve more than I think I can. Maybe I can be better than I think I can. And your coding, same as like hormeosis, I always say it wrong, but your coding is like elevating people, just your authenticity. So it's a pleasure to be around that vibe.
I appreciate that.
What's your next evolution, Dante?
I don't quite know yet. I feel, my biggest thing was focus on the seeds that I've already planted, which is the den, and being a part of planting the couch milk seed. I want to see both of those things succeed, and I want to put a lot of work into both of those projects so that I can continue to help people through them, and also kind of create a base for something else.
Can you describe what does the den do? How does it help people? And then what does couch milk do? How does it help people?
Yeah. The den is, a while ago, I like to refer to it as the psychosomatic bridge between movement and mindfulness. So being able to just connect people to maybe the other things that might be happening while we're moving and exercising, and why that's something that's important on a deeper level than just building muscles and being healthier. I also want, like, the gym that we're in is attached to what is going to be El Paso County's first psychedelic healing center. Cool. We share space with a couple therapists and board of directors who are trying to start a cohort full of veterans that'll be able to kind of be like the first group of people who have gone through a more clinical psychedelic process, but the first like above ground and legal process here in Colorado Springs. So ultimately, I would love to be a space that gets to support people that are coming out of journeys, because I think the loneliness is such a common theme. People, whether you want to call it waking up or building more awareness, shifting perspectives, I think a lot of people feel alone in their communities a lot of the time when they do medicine work or come out of a journey. And I want to be a space where, we get together and we lift weights, or we do primal movement or mobility work or run club. But it's also just a place where people know, like, I'm going to see all these people every day, and I can have these conversations and feel into the other work that I'm doing outside of just showing up and putting headphones on and working out.
One of the biggest things, I don't know if you read the Blue Code, but like they cited just having a community as being one of the reasons that people lived longer. Just having the conversation every day, someone checking in, oh, someone today is going to ask how I am, and I want to tell them something good. Like, it's so important, just that community, and especially for men's groups. That's really great. And how can people find the Den?
You can find us on Instagram at the Den Somatics. We have a website as well, thedensomatics.com. Or we're just the big brown building on the edge of Manitou Springs, right past the sign. And the Couch Milk, they also have an app and a website that they're working on. We're working on an integration group for athletes and in the space and in the community. And we'll probably have an online platform for that integration meeting as well. Same thing. They have a website, they have an app that they're building, and we're looking to support more athletes and doing, like, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without Couch Milk. And that, while that crew is also all of my best friends, that's also like the Couch Milk team. And
why Couch Milk? Do you know the reason for that name?
It was a psychedelic experience that I don't even know if he would want me to call him the founder, but he's definitely the founder of Couch Milk, kind of the leader of this whole project. He was at the retreat center that we work at one day. He has a hilarious way of describing this, but essentially he was on a couch that allowed him to travel back in time. And when he realized that the couch was a time traveling couch. He realized because it was a leather couch at one point, it must have been a time traveling cow. Um, and and legend has it, if you look underneath the couch at Bodie Springs, you'll find a pair of udders, and that's where the couch milk comes from.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, there's a much more
psychedelic response for that.
Yeah, hilarious and in-depth story that he tells about just it was a special cow that the government was trying to hide, and that's why it ended up at Bodie Springs. It's it's a comedic story for sure, but the name was just ridiculous. And after our friend told us that story and everybody was just talking about couch milk that night, for probably like a year in our community, it just became like a word that we used when something cool would happen, or I don't know, it felt like our version of aloha in a way. Like it had many different meanings, but kind of always meant the same thing too. And then we were, the week that I ran my first 100-mile race was also the first week that our MMA fighters competed for the first time. And I had both of our guys were competing against people who were from much bigger gyms. There were bigger opponents that outweighed them. And I had no idea if the work that I gave them or showed them as a martial artist was going to work at all. And both of our guys had amazing performances and kind of help us put the gym on the map. And one of them is now about to make his pro debut and is like a multi-organization champion over the last couple of years. Hasn't lost a fight yet.
Who's that?
His name's Dylan Ruane.
I just started following him today.
Yeah,
nice.
Another couch milk athlete and guy who likes to dose on. I mean, he's been on mushrooms on all of his fights as well. He's pretty open.
Cool.
But yeah, that night, Dylan went out and just destroyed a much more experienced opponent in the first round. And then a couple days later, we all turned around and ran that 100-mile race together. And we just realized that I felt like we had something special in our community, and that we weren't just like an average group of athletes doing average athletic stuff. So that was when the idea for Couch Milk becoming like a brand in a community that can actually support athletes the way that we're getting support.
Cool. That's so cool. And it's so good to do it with your team. Like it's not as fun unless the whole team wins.
Yeah.
I love that. Cool. Just kind of wrapping up, I wanted to ask you about Mindful Meds. So you guys were using Mindful Meds brand, right? Yeah. And Perform, was that one of the ones that you were using during the run?
Yeah, the Perform capsules. And then I think I used the Amanita. I can't remember the name of the product, but they're sleeping product.
Amanita Alchemy.
Alchemy, yeah.
I named that bad boy.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've been using it the last couple of days as well. It's fucking awesome.
Oh, awesome. And what do you feel like? So your whole team had Mindful Meds, yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Everybody had, Keegan had sent us, we had more than enough of everything. So yeah, everybody kind of had their own bottle of Perform, Cordyceps. We had a bunch of Brainbow as well for the people that weren't running a whole bunch. And then, yeah, the Amanita was, that was something that I would actually take, like, especially on the medicine days or the days where my mind was a little more active. I would take that a few hours so that when I got back to the RV, I would just be.
Oh, amazing. Did you have interesting dreams with Amanita?
I didn't really dream at all until the day after the run was done. And then I started having pretty crazy dreams. Like my sleep was weird. So I kept on taking the Amanita probably 4 or 5 days after. And yeah, I had some pretty profound dreams a couple of days after the run.
And did you feel like I wanted to ask, like, how did mile 499 feel compared to mile 1?
I was a lot hungrier, and my left leg was a little more swollen, but otherwise I felt pretty good. Like if I had the nutrition and support from a crew, I felt like I probably just could have kept walking, kept jogging when I could.
That's awesome. And do you think you'd ever do this again? Like the 500 with the crew, something like that? Or just on your own in a different style?
I feel like I definitely need to do something on my own. I feel called to do that. And if I was ever going to do something like a big project like this again, I think I would want the crew to be there. Yeah.
So it's a fam, right? You guys did that together. You can feel your energy of a family together through the whole like trailer.
Yeah. That's awesome community. And even a couple people that were newer to the community or that we had just met, but everybody got along super well. And yeah, it was just so much fun, so much laughter the whole time. It's really good.
That's awesome. And one last thing, like I think that probably Lauren is probably like your number one. And I think that your partner goes through every little bit with you mentally, like how would you like kind of said your super thank yous to your partner? Like, it's just such a beautiful thing you go through this together, you grow through this together. She would feel your pain, you feel hers. Like, how did this journey bring you guys closer together?
Yeah, I think we did get engaged right before.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt very strongly. I had thought about doing it like right at the end of the run, but I wanted that moment to be our moment, not like something that was about me and then about us. And
how did you do it?
We actually went out to Moab the week before just to kind of drive the whole route and get familiar with the way things were looking. And yeah, we were out on a hike. I had been carrying the ring around the whole weekend, and we went on a hike the last day that we were there, and just felt like there was I wanted to find a spot where she would have like a good view in the background when I asked her to turn around. And yeah, I felt like we kind of turned a corner onto this road, and I had pulled it out a couple times, and then something would happen, or we'd start talking, and I would put it back in my pocket. And we kept walking, and yeah, there was this, we were walking down this road, and there was this massive rock in the middle of the road, and there was cars driving on it and stuff like that. And I knew that she was going to bend over and like huck this rock off the road. And she did. So she picked it up and threw it off. And then as soon as she got done throwing it, I was like, oh yeah, this is the right moment. This is the woman I want to marry. Nice. Yeah, I just said, hey, and she turned around, and I was on the knee and forgot everything that I thought I was going to say. But yeah, that was how we did it. And that's also been an evolving process. Just kind of, I think we've learned a lot over the first couple of races that I did, just trying to figure out how to prepare and focus on the gym. But I feel like my evolution as an athlete has been really consistent the last 5 years that her and I have been together. And I think the evolution of the gym and our business has also been really consistent, but I want to put as much energy as I was into evolving myself, into evolving the relationship in the gym. So I think that's kind of the focus right now, is tending to the relationship, tending to that space and that gym, the community, and then hopefully, just getting to a place where we can both break off and focus on our own things and our own goals outside of that, and support each other the way that we have been and come back to it.
That's awesome. And you have such a resilience. I don't think that you would categorize anything as a loss or losing, really,
I think just knowing the way that I like to live my life, this is something like he found out about the project after it was already a thing. He was going to follow somebody at the retreat center that we worked at and kind of make a documentary about psychedelics in that way. Just kind of the general journey process and healing process of someone getting introduced to it. But then when he found out about the run and that medicine would be involved, like that was what that was what made more sense to him, to make a documentary about that. So I know I would have done this regardless, but I know that I wouldn't be able to support as many people as we've been able to support, and I wouldn't be able to share the message that I feel like I've been wanting to share for my whole life. I know that that's all due to Fernando, and he's a wizard with the social media stuff. He's been in the industry for a long time, but I think just seeing how quickly he's made this documentary grow and my platform and supporting me in that, it's been really awesome. So yeah, I'm super grateful to him. And the whole Couch Milk crew, Kenny Stahl, he runs Root Fork Medicine. He's my mentor. He's my medicine coach, or the guy that I go to for all the integration and everything. Also one of my best friends. My running coach is actually named Tom Hanks. And
running down the Moab, I pictured you like Tom Hanks.
yeah. We actually ran on that road that he like decided that he didn't want to run on anymore. That was pretty close to the last few miles for me as well. So that was pretty cool to be there with Tom Hanks and somebody who I know at that point I definitely looked like Forrest Gump. I looked pretty rough at the end and had the hair down. You could see the look on some people's faces when they drive by.
Is this a reenactment? What's happening?
And all the pacers. Johnny Ramos came out, like didn't know me really at all, but he came out and ran like 230 miles with me, and then turned around like 4 days later and won the Saddles 100 race in Arizona. Broke the course record for that. Awesome athlete, so I definitely want to give him a shout out. My best friend Jordan Babs, he shared hundreds of miles with me too. Bethany Hamilton, she runs an Instagram page running on Psychedelics.
Oh, cool.
My cat is refusing to not be on the camera, so this is Pablo.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Escobar, how are you?
Yes,
Pablo.
The whole team. My dad, it was awesome having him out there the whole week. And of course my partner. Super grateful for her. I wouldn't be able to do it without her. And I know
this
that
is Buffalo Warrior.
Yeah, very appreciative for all of her support too.
Amazing. Can I ask you where did Buffalo Warrior come from? So big legends of the Buffalo Warrior, but what's your connection?
It used to be a hummingbird. I think that was what I resonated with the most for a long time. And one day I was coming home from a snowboarding trip, and there was this massive storm happening. It's coming back. There was this massive storm happening, and a bunch of traffic was all backed up, and I wasn't sure what was going on. And then all of a sudden we saw a bunch of cowboys on horses like ride past us on the road. And there was a bison that had escaped from a ranch, and it was just running down the highway, and they were trying to chase it down. And at the time I was driving my dad's truck, and it was this like monster of a truck. It had a 6-inch lift and big 35-inch tires. And we were way off the ground. And I remember seeing this buffalo like at eye level with me, almost just run past the car or the truck. And I felt like I could feel it coming towards the car. And I just felt like I had this really interesting somatic experience of like resonance with this wild buffalo being out of its pasture and blocking traffic. And also like literally watching it kind of run into the storm. And there was a storm coming through, and it seemed like it was just scratching that natural itch or tendency that bison have to run through a storm and not stay where it's coming. I really admire that analogy of running through the storm, because you'll get through it a lot quicker if you just decide to move through it instead of stay where you're at.
Ooh, I love that. Cool. That is very cool. Lastly, did you want to share, do you have a favorite quote or favorite book that you might recommend to people? Quote that maybe got you through, or a book or something that's just like, this changed or shaped my character.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I have it written in a couple places in my house. And I can't remember who said it. And I was reading it every day leading up to the run, and I feel like I just like haven't even looked at it since I got back. But I believe it is that men should not be afraid of tears, because tears bore witness that you have the courage to suffer. That's probably my favorite quote.
I love that. That's very fitting for you. Dante, the Enduring Liberator. You certainly have a way of helping people free themselves by just being you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I thank you. And I cannot wait to watch what Fernando and the team make the documentary of. And I'd love to just get Joe Rogan to get on your team and sponsor you. And hopefully we get one or more sponsors out of this. So thank you so much for your time, Dante.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time as well.